Hello, this is Father Frei on the 7th episode of Ignatian Spirituality, and today I'd like to speak just briefly on what Ignatius terms the movements of the heart. The movements of the heart are key when understanding his terminology and what he's trying to get at, Ignatius, in his discernment of spirits and their rules. So movements are good and bad, inasmuch as they lead us toward or away from God's will, in keeping with Ignatius's primary objective in the exercises, seeking and doing the will of God. If the spontaneous feeling of joy we experience at any given moment, in conjunction with certain thoughts, indicates, in fact, the direction God wishes us to pursue, then this movement is spiritually good. In other words, good movements lead us toward God's will, toward a stronger life of faith, hope, and charity. Meanwhile, if a different spontaneous affectivity and its accompanying thoughts would lead us away from God's will, then this movement is spiritually bad. So bad movements lead us away from God's will, toward a weaker life of faith, hope, and charity. And Ignatius understands these movements of the heart from his own experience. He would consider the life of a soldier, of achieving great fame and honor, and while excited in his thoughts of these things, afterward his feelings were that of sadness, dryness, of disinterest. Meanwhile, as he was thinking, and again this is very early on in his conversion, if he was thinking of the life of Christ or the life of St. Francis or Dominic, he would also have very exciting thoughts during, and yet afterward, unlike the thoughts of the world, when thinking of good thoughts, holy thoughts, thoughts of God, he experienced joy and renewal and interest in God and prayer. And these different thoughts and affectivity ultimately are what Ignatius came to term the movements of the heart. So now that we've covered the movements of the heart, we can finally dive in to the rules for the discernment of spirits, which we'll begin with in the next episode, episode 8, with the very first rule. Thank you.